Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Journey to the East podcast, now part of Ducksay Quack Entertainment. As always, you have myself, UA Blackwings, on this journey, and with me, you also have Zephyr.
Heyo, how's it going, everybody?
And granted, we had to hog tie him, we had to strap him up and make sure that he showed up, but we do have Anvil.
And imagine my
I thought
surprise when I found out she was the Crown Prince of Switzerland. Wait,
I
what?
thought that's
Oh,
what.
I'm sorry. Hello, my name is Anvil. I'm a lunatic.
And don't forget the
And
all-consuming flame of gluttony.
The
I, I, wa- I was
all-consuming flame of gluttony.
I was gonna say that's what bench warrants are for, but the timing of the joke has long since passed.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. Anyways, welcome back, everybody. This is Journey to the East first official podcast as part of Ducksay Quack.
Woohoo! Under new management, but not really.
Well, same management, different distributor. And,
Fair.
and as we have already discussed, we're not going to go into any explicit topics about that. Just know that Journey to the East is now located here, and we will continue to provide you the same type of quantity podcasting as we always have, and a great journey to be had. And with that being said, let's go on with today's journey to the East, and we're going to cover part two of our anime discussion, with that being, well, distribution of anime in the U.S. and what was it that got us started on anime?
Yeah. I- That's kind of where we left off because we did the whole history of everything, and now we're kind of at the how did all of this come over to the United States portion.
And I will remind our listeners that part three of this three-part series will be coming out soon as well. And it will feature all three of us once again wrapping up this series with our top 10 in anime recommendations. So,
Oh, I got to do a top 10 list. Fuck.
yep, all three of us have to do a top 10 list. Oh, wait, no, I take that back. We have to do two lists. Anvil's the one who came up with that. We have to do a retro anime and a recent anime top 10.
Okay, I was
Oh,
not prepared
God.
for that.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, it was Anvil who said, "Yeah, no, that's too damn hard. We need to split that." So we mutually agreed that we're going to do two lists.
I'm pretty sure I already know Anvil's list is going to be Rurouni Kenshin written 20 times.
That being said, real quickly, we're gonna start off with our new segment that we did last time of what have we been doing that's new in the Japanese culture, and I'd like to start this time with Anvil. Any new anime catch your eye? Anything of music that you've been listening to? Maybe a new food?
Not really. I've been eating a lot of sushi, but that's not new for me. Let me think. I watched an anime recently. Which one was it?
I was gonna say I can't help but notice that there's two anime in front of my recently watched list on Funimation.
Two.
Well, it
I
might have
haven't
been.
been watching Funimation.
Well, then it's definitely you, buddy.
I've been watching. Let me think. What did I watch recently? My brain's not the best. Not like it used to be.
What are the two that are appearing on your watch list, UA?
I'm pulling it up right now, so if you'll please just bear with me.
I was
a
gonna
moment.
say Dragon Ball
Um,
should be on there right now.
I was
'cause-
gonna say I see Dragon Ball and I see a rewatch for I swear, Zephyr, I don't care about the fact that we're about to enter stage 3 in New York. I will come to your
Oh yeah,
house and
Samurai Champloo.
I will bop you on the head. Yes, I am seeing Samurai Champloo, I'm seeing Dragon Ball, and I'm seeing a rewatch for Sword Art Online.
That one's not me. I don't know what that one's about.
Nope, not me.
Well, that means that I have to change my password.
Ah, um, you might
Is there
want to
any?
talk to your wife, Keith.
Nope, she's been watching nothing but Below Deck and cooking shows for the last
Hmm.
few months.
But anyways, we're getting off topic. Yeah, I'm seeing that you've been watching Samurai Champloo,
Yeah, I actually just started it. I've never watched it before.
and how are you enjoying it?
Oh man, Samurai
Oh, it's
Champloo
not
is
bad.
freaking great.
I've always heard that it's great. And, it's one of the classics that I just never had the opportunity to watch. So,
I used to watch that one all the time on Toonami.
All
yeah.
right, all right. Zephyr, anything new that you've been keeping an eye on?
Well, recently I have been watching through with my son Engine Sentai Go Anger, which is the either 2009 or 2010 Super Sentai series.
Did it get made into a Power Ranger?
It did. Power Rangers RPM.
Okay, then. At least now I can follow along a little bit better.
I've been watching it mostly because Joseph likes to watch the little cartoon Zord caricatures that appear throughout. One of the things that RPM changed from the original source material was that the Zords don't actually have any personalities. They're actually living beings in the original.
Yeah, I kind of caught that when I was watching RPM for the first time. It seemed as if they were supposed to have some sort of personality to them, but they never really did anything with that.
Nope. They even lampshaded it too. Like I'm pretty sure it was RPM Red asks a question of like, "What's with the eyes?" And Dr. K responds with like, "Do you mean the sensors?"
Yeah, well,
And it's like they completely lampshaded a whole bunch of shit in RPM from Go Onger, and I don't know. I think I kind of like Go Onger a little bit better because there's a whole extra element of these mecha having personalities that are distinct from the Rangers.
fair enough. I get that. Um, so I'll get it out of the way. Yes, I've been watching another plot air quote heavy anime of the latest season of High School DxD. Aside from that, something you can't tease me on, I have noticed that the newest season of Fruit Baskets has been streaming on Funimation, and I have been enjoying catching up on that.
Nah, definitely won't make fun of you for Fruits Basket. Fruits Basket's just a generally good story.
No, but you'll make fun of me for High School DxD, so I'm going on to Fruit Baskets.
Oh yeah, I'll absolutely make fun of you for High School DxD. Although High School DxD is a bit of a guilty pleasure.
I'm pretty sure you're the one who introduced it to me.
Yeah, actually, I think I was.
So, with all of that, we will move on to our main topic today, which is, as mentioned before,
Isekai? Question mark.
No,
no.
High School DxD is 100% an ecchi anime.
No. I was talking about our main topic.
No,
No,
Anvil.
not yet.
Anvil, I promise you the Isekai episode is coming. It's not yet, though. I want to talk
Honestly-
about Isekai as much as you do.
Honestly, if we're really playing our cards right, we'll manage to do the Isekai episode with like all of us together in one area.
I
In
mean,
another world, perhaps.
God, I wish I had something to bash my head into. But anyways,
Go home.
yeah. And here I was going to make the mention of, there is something coming up that all three of us are going to be at that we could do a special edition of it too, but now I'm not going to bother.
Come on, the joke wasn't that bad.
Yeah, go home. Anyways, anime in America. So, what was some of the stuff that really introduced us to anime here in America in terms of the TV shows and the stations that were running them? Does anybody remember?
So the first
you know,
anime
Yep.
I ever watched has to have been Speed Racer. And it would have been on, I don't remember the name of the channel, but we had a local broadcast channel in Tulsa that played old cartoons.
All right.
That
You know,
being said, that's not what got me hooked on anime. What got me hooked on anime was probably Toonami. And it was with Rurouni Kenshin and Yu Yu Hakusho.
Ooh, two fan favorites. By the way, did anybody hear that Yu Yu Hakusho is going to be on Netflix at the end of the month?
yes, I did.
I did hear that, and I'm pretty excited.
I am so over the moon excited, and as someone who has all 4 seasons on DVD, I am getting ready to throw those away because it's going to be available on Netflix.
I wouldn't throw the DVDs
No,
away.
of course I wouldn't actually
Stuff
throw
gets
them
pulled
Especially with
off
how
of
fickle
Netflix all the
Netflix
time.
is, man. It'll be on there now, and then next month it'll be gone.
I'm not tossing the DVDs. I would never do that. Zephyr.
But I always like to say that my starter anime was Gundam Wing, but that's mostly just because Gundam Wing was really the anime that got me actively seeking out other anime and stuff in the medium. Before then, I was introduced to shows like Science Ninja Team Gatchaman in the form of Battle of the Planets via my stepfather, and obviously the show that I watched on Fox Kids every Saturday morning, Digimon.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, I guess those were my first animes, but really the one that got me into anime was Gundam Wing, because as I've noted before, I didn't actually know that Battle of the Planets and Digimon were anime, air quotes, until much later in life when I realized that what we got were localized dubs of the original source material. And Gundam Wing was really the first anime that I knew came from Japan.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with both of you in the sense that early on I didn't know that some shows were considered anime with English dubs and some were just regular American made cartoons. I have to agree with Anvil. I think the first anime that I ever watched that I really clicked with was Speed Racer. I've always had a special interest in Speed Racer, so that stuck with me really hard. Um I know we kind of went over it a little bit in the last episode, but just back me up here. Sorry about that, folks. We had a small technical issue, but we are back. Uh, first anime for me, as I mentioned, was Speed Racer and probably Pokemon and Digimon. Um, and those were anime that I didn't know was actually anime, which again falls under the same as what we had with Zephyr and Anvil there. Um, but the first anime that really caught my eye, I want to say, was probably Naruto. And that's when I really knew what anime was on Cartoon Network before it got moved to Toonami.
That was a lot of people's starter anime.
And
I did enjoy Naruto quite a bit.
I enjoyed
Not gonna
Naruto
lie.
a lot as well. But I mean, aside from that, before all that, I watched Digimon, I watched Pokemon, I watched Dragon Ball Z, I watched Sailor Moon, Rurouni Kenshin, Yu Yu Hakusho, and all of those under the complete pretext of not knowing what anime was.
Naruto was a bit of a weird one for me, because I started out liking Naruto kind of at the beginning, but then again I kind of fell out of liking it a little bit as it went on, up until Shippuden happened when I started liking it again. But it wasn't
Was
the
it
fact
because Naruto himself was fucking obnoxious?
No, it wasn't because Naruto himself was obnoxious. It was nothing about the show itself. It was because my starter anime was Gundam Wing.
Okay.
I got made fun of a lot for liking anime, and then Naruto happened, and a bunch of people started liking anime because of Naruto.
The same people
And
who made fun of you for liking Gundam.
exactly. The same assholes who made fun of me for liking Gundam were now liking Naruto, and I started out liking Naruto, but because they are also liking it, I'm like, you guys are just fucking jerks.
Okay, I can
And
understand that.
I kind of fell out of liking it until Shippuden happened, and then I kind of got over myself a little bit, and I'm like, all right, you know what? It doesn't really fucking matter that these guys got into anime because of Naruto. Even though they made fun of me for liking Gundam Wing, it's all anime. We all like anime. Let's bury the hatchet here. And I went back and rewatched the entire series because there was a lot of it that I had missed in the lead up to Shippuden.
Well, and the big thing for Naruto, I'll use Naruto as a good example, but it's not the best example I can give on this. Naruto's anime became plagued with what we all know as being filler episodes, meaning that the source material for the anime, which was its manga in Japan, had hit a point and the anime had hit that same point and they needed to produce more content while the written content was getting beefed up again. And for me, that was one of the biggest issues I had with Naruto was a lot of the filler stuff. It I don't like filler. I'm not a fan of
I
filler.
don't know. For Naruto, the filler was hit or miss. Like
Yeah.
there was a lot of bad filler, yeah, for Naruto, but we also got some filler gems like the episode dedicated to finding out what was underneath Kakashi's mask,
Truth.
and
I was gonna
the
Ah,
point that one out
the
myself.
the
I'm glad
entire
you pointed that out.
either I can't remember if it was a single episode by itself or a couple of episodes dedicated to Naruto, Shino, and I think a couple of other of the ninja being assigned to go to a funeral. And the caveat is that no one can laugh for something or other, and the whole mission is they sent ninjas to not laugh as the proxy for this lordship or whatever, because if he laughed he loses everything in the inheritance or whatever. And so they sent Shino because he's
Yeah, that one
the
was
guy who never fucking laughs.
that one
And
was a pretty good one too.
it's this the series. It's the episode where you find out that Shino probably has the best sense of humor out of all of them.
Truth.
well, and specifically using that one, the one where they're trying to finally see what's under Kakashi's mask. That's one of those incredibly rare examples of the anime doing something that wasn't in the source material, that the source material decided to put its own spin on it. Because shortly after, or close to the end of Naruto's manga ending, they did make a quick, small little story showing Team 7 trying to see what's under that infamous mask. And finally, after years of anticipation, we finally saw what Kakashi looks like without a mask.
Yep, in Boruto of all places.
Mm-hmm.
Can I,
So
can I just also say how awesome it is to have an anime that was a lot of people's starter animes in the United States that has a continuation that is a
Into a new
lot of
series.
people's an entirely new generation's starter anime.
Yeah.
it's it's kind of like what you had with, I mean, Anvil, I feel like I need you to back me up a little bit on this one. The same could kind of be said for Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Because Dragon Ball obviously was the precursor for DBZ, and it was airing in America, and it did start as a generation's starter anime for some, I'm sure, and then you have DBZ, its predecessor, come in and just rip the rulebook in half and rewrite it, and that started as a completely other generation starter anime.
Right.
Technically, Dragon Ball would be Dragon Ball Z's predecessor.
Yeah.
Semantics.
But
We know that I'm not good
I got
at
what
that.
he meant. I got what he meant.
Yeah, I understood what he meant, but anyway, yeah, it was kind of similar, a similar vein for Dragon Ball, except I think that actually, when the heck did Dragon Ball first start airing in the U.S.?
80s. Maybe not. Hang on, let me double check that.
Well, while both of them are taking a look into that, a question that I was trying to pose to you guys while we were having our little technical difficulty.
Yeah, it would have been 89 when it came to the U.S.
89.
And if I
Yeah.
remember correctly, DBZ started airing late 90s, 2000s?
For Dragon Ball Z, it's saying 1989 as well.
Ooh.
No, that's when it aired in Japan.
Ah, okay.
Dragon Ball
That's
aired in
not
Japan
right.
in 86.
Hang on. Where's the U.S. air date?
But anyways, the question that I was trying to pose to both of you, did you hear that a remake of Shaman King has been greenlit?
Yes, it
I
has.
have.
And
I can't fucking wait.
I am in the same boat. I am very excited for that.
Mostly because there's so much we didn't get to see for the original Shaman King because it was adapted by 4Kids.
Very true.
And so it was a very, very watered down version of the original source material.
Mm-hmm. So, again, while Zephyr looks up that information, a couple of a little bit more obscure anime titles that I don't know if you guys remember. Anyone remember Cubics?
I do.
Yeah.
So,
That one was an anime?
That was an anime.
Really?
Oh!
Look at that.
You know which one we haven't talked about yet?
What?
Code Lyoko.
Oh, my.
Not Japanese.
Oh.
No, but that would fall under that category we talked about in the last episode about how
it falls under the anime style, like Avatar: The Last Airbender does. However, it is distinctly not Japanese because Code Lyoko is French.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still gonna say that I enjoyed it. We can cover Code Lyoko on a different one specifically, but I know that that's one that all three of us enjoyed quite a bit.
Oh yeah, Code Lyoko is definitely going to get talked about at length when we do our anime that wasn't from Japan.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because oh my gosh,
Uh,
Code Lyoko is one of those ones that it was so good and of the same vein of anime. It took me years to realize that it wasn't Japanese.
yeah, that one took me a little while too. Shinzo. Does anyone remember Shinzo?
Vaguely. Wasn't that like a Yu-Gi-Oh monster at some point? No.
Well, yes, actually, it was a Yu-Gi-Oh monster at some point, but it was a weird anime. It dealt with monsters trying to power up into ultimate forms, and when a monster died, they turned into a card. It was odd, but it was enticing. It was one of those rare, weird ones.
Card captors?
Well, I mean, we can talk about card captors all day long. I'll happily talk about any clamp title.
Sorry, you say
I know exactly what I said.
Turns into a card, and the first thing that pops into my head is card captors.
Oh no, I know exactly what I said, and I stand by my statement. I will talk about any clamp title anytime you want, whether it's card captors, Magic Knight, Ray Earth, Tsubasa, Triple X Holic. I love
it's okay.
clamp.
the very next thing on my tongue was Kamen Rider Ryuki. Because that's got a whole card motif, too.
Yes, it does.
Oh, man. Anyway, back to the topic of methods of distribution of anime in the U.S.
Well,
Disney.
I mean, that's kind of one. I was actually more thinking along the lines, Anvil, of the television networks, the various television networks that picked up anime and adapted it for American audiences, which, I mean, obviously we're going to have to eventually talk about the cardinal sin of 4Kids.
okay, quick question. Why cardinal sin?
Because back when anime was starting to get really, really popular and like was the mainstay sales tool at Hot Topic. Yes, I totally just made that drop and
Yeah.
dated myself.
Yeah.
4Kids was notorious for getting its hands on just about every single property it could and putting out an extremely watered down, kid friendly version that had all kinds of edits from the original material. For instance, in the 4Kids edit of One Piece, Sanji's signature cigarette is replaced with a lollipop that he constantly has in his mouth.
Yeah.
There are several scenes of the Yu-Gi-Oh anime that have armed guards pointing guns at Yugi and crew, except they edited out the guns. So they're just pointing fingers at them.
Yeah, we covered that in the last episode.
Like, 4Kids was notorious in the anime fan scene for putting out extremely watered down Americanized releases for stuff. And it just really wasn't necessary in the context of other kids' entertainment that was being put out.
Fair enough. Well, since we got the cardinal sin, and I will agree with that, since we got that one out of the way, we can look to its predecessor, Fox Kids, because it did distribute some anime before it got
Actually,
converted.
Fox Kids, I believe, eventually got rebranded as 4Kids Network or
Yes.
4Kids TV.
So, I mean, obviously, we have the same company under two different names on that one. You can also look at Jetix.
Yeah. Oh, Jetix was a great one. That was Disney Channel and ABC Family, I believe.
Yep.
Or Jetix segment. What else was there? I know Fox did a segment called Fox Box for a little while. I don't remember if that predates or came after 4Kids. There was Kids WB.
Kids WB did not distribute as much anime as you would think.
They had Pokemon for a while.
They had Pokemon for a while, but they didn't have a lot. They had some, but not as much as some of the others.
Somebody's got to have a list.
Anvil, I will happily give the floor to you to talk about your favorite Cartoon Network branding for anime.
Definitely Rurouni Kenshin, man.
Oh
shit! Kenshin.
I just pulled up a list of anime that was distributed on Kids WB, and it's Astro Boy, the 2003 version, Card Captor Sakura.
I knew that.
Mega Man NT Warrior.
Ooh, that was a good one.
Pokemon Advanced. Pokemon the Destiny Deoxys movie.
Move on.
Let's see. Spider Riders. Transformers Cybertron.
Ugh.
the Beautiful Joe TV show, and Yu-Gi-Oh. So there's a little bit more anime that was distributed by Kids WB than initially thought.
Okay, fair enough. I can see that. But anyways, Anvil, I wasn't talking specifically shows. I was giving you the floor to talk about Toonami and Adult Swim.
Oh, yes. So I don't really see Adult Swim as an anime branding for them. I would definitely go with Toonami though, and Adult Swim has sort of come back to anime using Adult Swim is sort of the reason why. And I saw Toonami. Toonami's really what got me hooked on anime because it gave an easy, readily accessible outlet to kids in the U.S. Where most channels were giving the only anime they really brought in were the frilly, very kid-friendly, silly animes, like
Mhm.
for instance, Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. Toonami gave us access to that darker side of anime. The very deep stories, the stories that actually had a darker side to them. And as a teenager, it really appealed.
Yeah, they had anime that had deeper and darker storylines. They had anime that wasn't afraid to shy away from a little bit more adult themes in terms of the violence and the gore and stuff of that nature. And you know, as a kid growing up in the late 90s, early 2000s, and obviously you guys are both of the same age demographic on that. But I mean, I enjoyed Pokemon and Digimon just as much as the next kid our age, but I loved watching stuff like Yu Yu Hakusho and Rurouni Kenshin that featured full on beat 'em up, smash 'em fight sequences or unique sword styles from Rurouni, and I wasn't particularly shocked or had an issue with anything that they showed us on that.
Honestly, my gateway to the more mature anime was absolutely 100% Toonami. It's where I caught Gundam Wing as it was airing originally in the U.S. It's where I caught Full Metal Alchemist. It's where I saw Cowboy Bebop, Paranoia Agent. All of these older age demographic animes. Paranoia Agent, especially, that one was like adult.
Okay. And
Um,
also I'd like to mention, because you brought up Gundam Wing and you made me remember, Mobile Fighter G Gundam for me as well was one of those big animes that caught my attention.
hmm
So one other thing that Anvil kind of hinted to earlier, but we've only been talking about the television side of things, and I feel like it would be a crime for us not to mention the distribution of anime into America and not talk about Disney partnering with Studio Ghibli and us getting access to those absolute masterpieces of films.
Truth.
And I mean,
I
we don't have to look any further than the weeks of reviews that our friends over at the Sock Drawer, Salem and Dusty, they've been doing reviews on almost the entire Studio Ghibli library for months now.
yeah,
right.
I think my
I do
first
like.
Ghibli film was Princess Mononoke.
Similar to Salem.
And then very shortly after that one, I watched Prince or not Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind is and the interesting one about Nausicaa is that's technically the Nausicaa as a movie
Technically, it
technically
wasn't Studio
predates
Ghibli.
Studio Ghibli.
Yeah, we mentioned
Is
that in the last episode.
they made Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, and then they founded Studio Ghibli because Nausicaa was such a huge success.
Hey, I mean, can't say anything against that. If it works, it works. And sometimes you need the movie to precede the studio. And if that's how it works, that's how it works.
Mine was probably Castle in the Sky or Nausicaa.
I
I watched them both
I,
close around the same time.
I want to see Castle in the Sky so badly. I have not had the
Oh, it's so
opportunity
good.
to yet.
I,
So
I, I,
good.
I remember checking out the Studio Ghibli films on DVD from the Fairport Public Library.
Man,
Uh,
that's
wa-
funny because like I remember checking them out on VHS from the Jinx library.
you,
First,
you,
Good
you got
time.
you gotta remember Anvil from my house at least. Um, Aside from Pokemon and Digimon and pretty much anything that was on 4Kids, anime was practically forbidden in my house because my sister got into anime before I did, and she got into actually anime and manga really, but she got into a particular manga series called Gravitation, which was an etchy boy love manga that had some very risque and very adult themes in it. And one of my parents had gotten a hold of one of the volumes of it and flipped it open to a very bad page that involved one of the characters getting assaulted. And that was the end of anime in that house, in our house.
ouch.
At least until I got way older. Um,
So
that that
I'm
that
looking.
that that incident happened back when I was before I met Anvil, and I was able to start watching anime at least in the confines of my own space um, around the time that I moved to Fairport and we met.
Anvil, you were going to say something?
Uh, I was just looking at the list of Studio Ghibli movies, and there's one that I don't think I've seen.
Go on.
Which one
Um, Only Yesterday.
is that one new?
No, it's apparently pretty old.
Really?
Yeah, I
Huh.
just closed the list.
First one for me was Kiki's Delivery Service. I enjoyed that one immensely with my brothers and my mom. We watched that to the point of killing that VHS
Huh?
tape.
I remember seeing all the trailers for Kiki's Delivery Service.
It's one of those movies from Studio Ghibli that doesn't have an underlying plot point to it to connect to the real world. And it's just one of those really good feel good movies.
Yeah, it would. Kiki's Delivery Service, I remember, was one of the first Studio Ghibli movies that got a lot of heavy marketing in the United States. Because
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing trailers for it on TV, and it was there were trailers for it that were attached to VHSs.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why Kiki's Delivery Service was one of the first ones that was heavily advertised, I believe, is because it was the first one that Disney had its hooks in. That was when Disney purchased the marketing rights for Studio Ghibli films in the U.S.
Well, that would make sense then, because I know that Disney promoted a lot of, um, Kiki's Delivery Service in similar timed VHS and DVD movies, so that would make a lot of sense. Um, Outside of that, the next one for me was Howl's Moving Castle, which God, that's such a good movie. I can watch that any day of the week. And um, Spirited Away.
Spirited Away is probably one of my favorites.
It deserves absolutely every accolade, all the recognition, everything positive that has ever been thrown into the same name as it. It 100% deserves. That was one of the best movies I have seen, regardless of genre.
Honestly, Miyazaki is just a treasure, and needs to be protected at all costs.
Truth.
Absolutely. Cannot agree with that enough. So,
it's okay. It's okay, Miyazaki. We forgive you for the anime was a mistake comment.
Well, I can see where he's coming from, though. I mean, like, imagine you did something good, and it's decent for you. You know, you enjoy it somewhat, but you wanted to go into literally anything else, and you can't because you did that one thing good, and that's all anyone will ever see you for.
I mean, I know that that's the actual context of that quote. Just the Hayao Miyazaki quote of "anime was a mistake" is just great. Because you can attach that to anything. Shitty animation cells from Seven Deadly Sins Season 3, anime was a mistake.
Another thing that anime has brought us that I feel hasn't gotten as much attention in America, and I find this to be a little bit sad, but some of the soundtracks to TV shows and the movies that we have been given.
Oh, truth.
Good stuff.
I rewatched Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind the other day, and man, the soundtrack behind it was just flawless.
I mean,
the sound, the bird sounds, the wind sounds. Oh,
it's
fantastic.
It's a recent anime, but I'm still salty that we haven't really gotten Western releases of the K and K Return of Kings soundtracks, because the music in that is just amazing.
Well, and you know, here's one of those rare points where I will absolutely admit that I'm gonna contradict myself a little bit. When it comes to anime, I have always gone on record of saying that I would prefer to watch the dub over the sub. And my reasoning for that is not because I don't like listening to the sub. I do. But because I don't like having to read the context and missing some of the action on screen. That being said, though, I am perfectly content listening to the Japanese dub of anime music, not have a goddamn clue what they're singing about, because it's that freaking good.
Yeah.
Truth.
There are some OPs that are absolute bangers. Actually, that's a thing we should definitely talk about, is because the Japanese in anime have mastered the art of the opening. And
they really have.
It's something that we used to have for a lot of older cartoons and whatnot, that we sometimes will get an opening these days. I think most Cartoon Network cartoons these days have some form of an opening, but
they've been getting better at it lately, but they always sort of dragged on that.
Something that I like that Japanese anime does is the opening changes over time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you really don't see that with American cartoons.
openings and Japanese, the Japanese being better at openings than the U.S. If you really need any look at that, look at the startup for an Xbox, any generation, and compare it to a Nintendo a Nintendo game console. Literally any even their portables. The startup sounds on Nintendo, fucking hypnotic. Startup sounds on literally any other console. Meh.
Wrong podcast, Anvil. Wrong podcast.
No, because that's still the Eastern influence. I mean, like,
okay, I feel like I need to argue this just a little bit here. What is hypnotic of the Game Boy Color startup sound?
I don't remember that one.
Bing.
So I guess that one probably wasn't. But that being said, tell me you don't hear this sound in your dreams.
Sometimes I really hate you. Sometimes I really hate you.
I think we're forgetting the most important one. The GameCube startup?
Yep. Yeah. No. That.
As Anvil mouths it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I can see defeat.
Dude, the GameCube opening music is such a hypnotic thing. It became a meme.
Well,
it did.
And not just that. Between the GameCube and the Game Boy Advance, man, there were some times that I just turned on the game system simply because I wanted to hear that sound.
Oh, I remember.
Like,
okay, that's a little weird.
You used to do it a lot when we were hanging out in high school.
Like, especially if I was just stressed out and, upset about something, sometimes I just would turn it on so I could hear that sound and it would calm me down.
So another thing, just to get back to the original idea of anime intros and the music for anime and for the movies, there have been animes that have come out that you gotta admit, both the English anime entrance and the Japanese original entrance, some of them are pretty damn good.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. Like, there's something to be said of the openings that some animes got for their adaptations versus their originals that were actually pretty good. Like, as much as I hated the 4Kids One Piece adaptation, I got to admit their little opening ditty for One Piece was pretty legit.
And you know what? Something that I've noticed, and the older anime and cartoons in general, oftentimes had openings that were, the songs were clearly very specifically written for that anime or that cartoon. And for a long time there, they just sort of like didn't. They just picked a random popular song and used that for their openings. Mm-hmm. And I'm really happy to see that they're starting to go back to the, having a song specifically written for your opening.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fairy Tail's got a lot of the opening specifically written for the anime.
And for me personally, one of the ones that I enjoyed both the English and the Japanese versions of was Shaman King. I enjoyed the English version of that, but when I heard the Japanese one, that one edged out just a little bit further.
I actually Digimon was one that I like both versions. Like, don't get me wrong, the English Digimon opening is simplistic, but it's it has that digital feel, especially from like the beginning of the early 2000s.
Yeah,
like,
no, I'll agree with that.
The very beginnings of the digital age.
Yeah,
like
obviously the original Digimon Digital Monsters, that one will have a special place in my heart. But a couple of years
Butterfly,
ago, exactly, a couple of years ago when I
Butterfly
got
is awesome.
introduced to Butterfly, I went, damn, that's
Stand,
good.
stand, right. Oh my god, Butterfly just hits differently. I'm sorry. I like the I like the English opening that we got, but Butterfly just hits different.
Truth.
Well, and another thing that I really enjoy specifically about the soundtracks of anime, the way that some of these musical pieces are constructed, they make either a sad scene feel that much more drastic, or one of my personal favorites, when you're in the middle of a good fight scene and suddenly that music ramps up and it's a really good tune and you just feel goosebumps going down your spine.
Oh, my personal favorite anime trope is when you have the big final climactic battle and they play the first opening in the background.
Yeah.
Like, I freaking love that trope. I love it when you have an anime that's been running for like years and has had so many seasons, and it's the big final climactic battle. It's the last episode of the anime, and they drop the first opening on you. It's
Mm-hmm.
fucking great.
Truth.
So, with all of that being said, I think we've covered a lot, if not most, of the topic for tonight, which was, at just to revise back, anime in America and what started us off on it. Did we miss
Anime
anything?
gateways.
Anvil, did we miss anything, do you think?
I
Mm,
got Toonami,
I don't think so.
Foxbox, 4Kids.
I know we talked about Jetix a little bit. I know we talked about Toonami. I,
I
I
mean, there was Anime Network if anybody had cable.
Yeah.
No.
That didn't really exist for very long, though, did it?
I mean, it was there for a while. Anime Network, I remember, was at least the way that I found a bunch of different anime. Like Anime Network was how I first saw Get Backers, which is one of my personal favorites. Um, and what else did I? I think it was Elfin Lied. Lied. I'm not sure how it's pronounced.
Hell if I know.
I always read the title, and it's not like it's not like they pronounced it in any of the title cards. But no, I caught a couple of animes via Anime Network, but again, that was like a small one. You had to have cable to have access to it.
So, with all of that being put on the table for us, I think that basically wraps up part 2 of our little mini series here, gentlemen.
Well,
So I want to once again reiterate that part 3 will be coming out soon, and we will be putting it all on the table as we talk about our top favorite anime titles, which, knowing the three of us, we will have a lot of titles that are intermixed in there. So it'll be interesting, but hopefully we give you guys some really good inclinations into what we enjoy, and maybe we find something for you to look up as well. And with that, Anvil, where can we find you, buddy?
usually munching on some sort of sweets or baked goods or setting something on fire. But if you really want to find me, you can usually locate me on Xbox Live, the Anvil O.
Very true. And as a little tease for our listeners, we do have a new project in the works between Anvil and myself for another podcast. And hopefully you'll be hearing from us on that subject sometime in the near future. Dead air. Was expecting a comment from Anvil, but no.
Oh, maybe.
That
Talking about the Disney one,
Anvil
right?
usually misses his cue, so it's okay.
Nah, it's alright. I don't mind. Zephyr, where can we find you?
You can find me, as always, as co-host of Journey to the East. And then you can also find me over on Softlock Podcast, also with Duck Say Quack Entertainment. Restarting my host duties for a gaming podcast.
Which we just recorded the first episode of earlier tonight and is live now for your viewing pleasure. And as always, you can find me, UA Blackwings, here on Journey to the East podcast as your host and travel guide. You can find me co-hosting on Zephyr's new podcast as well, along with any other properties here on Duck Say Quack Entertainment. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Anchor.fm, along with anywhere else you can get quality podcasting. And we do have a Discord. We have a couple of Discord members, I believe. I know Sockjor does. Do we have anybody, Zephyr? Do you know?
Not off the top of my head.
All right. Well, we do have a Discord, and we have... I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking Discord. I was thinking Patreon. You can find us on Patreon on Duck Say Quack Entertainment. You can also find us on our Discord page, and that about sums it up. As always, ladies and gentlemen, I have been UA Blackwings, your host here on Journey to the East, and we will see you next time.